All right. Hi, everybody. Welcome to the webinar. Today, we are going to talk about image ads. And then at the end, I'm going to show an example of how to create some ad groups really pretty quick and easy without any specialized tools, just so that for anybody that wants to get started without any specialized tools, you'll be able to do that pretty quickly. So here we go with image ads. All right. I'm going to share with you kind of what I've learned about image ads, mostly through the Google Content Network. I'm doing more with image ads now outside of the Google Content Network, and things are a little bit different, mostly because there you're typically buying on a CPM basis if you're buying outside of the Google Content Network, but on the Content Network, it's often the case you can buy with either a CPC or a CPM, but I was usually doing a cost per click basis with the image ads on the Google Content Network. So this is kind of what I have to say about it. This top line here, image ads can work very well, but they're more tricky to get right. So what I mean by that is that I would often find that image ads that I tried would just completely bomb. Um, so text ads, I found it was just less likely that an ad would completely bomb. I mean, the ad might not do well, and maybe I would lose money. But with image ads, a lot of times I would find that the ads just completely bombed. But then when you get it right, they can do extremely well. So the upside is bigger than text ads. And just kind of a note here, my biggest day on Google Content Network was around 75% image ad traffic. And most everybody that I know really everyone that I know that's ever done huge traffic on the Google Content Network or elsewhere has used image ads. I'm actually somewhat of an exception in that I've done more of my traffic with text ads, and I've done really well with text ads on the Google Content Network. So most people end up getting better results out of image ads. So my experience is you can generally get 2 to 4 times more traffic with image ads if you get them right. And the traffic is going to convert at a lower conversion, so it's going to take more clicks to get a conversion, but the cost per click is going to drop quite a bit because your click-through rate will go up very high on a good banner ad. So it basically makes up for the lower conversion rate. And then this note here is that you need to beat out the effective CPM for competing text ads in an ad block. And what that means is that, if you look at Google, they're displaying text ads in the same sorts of ad blocks as they are with an image ad. No matter what the size is, that either text ads or image ads can go there. And so basically, in order for your image ad to show, Google has to determine that the image ad, even just being a single ad in that block, gets basically more clicks than the text ad would for the number of impressions, or not more clicks, but the effective CPM that Google is getting out of their advertising inventory. Which means how much money are they making per impression, because impressions is really what they have to sell. They don't really sell clicks. They really have impressions, and they figure out ways to charge you by click, but really what they're looking for is the most value out of each impression that they have to sell. And so the image ads need to basically perform that much better than all of the text ads together in the ad block. And because of this, if you start your bids that are too low with image ads, what will often happen is they won't even attempt to show your ads. So typically the best way to get traction is to bid higher and cap the budget. So typically $1 bid will get you traffic, unless it's in maybe a really expensive market. You may have to bid higher than that. But if you bid $1 on an image ad, Google will usually start testing it, and you'll get some traffic. And then that'll help you build a click-through rate history, and then you can start lowering your bids depending on how well your click-through rate is doing. So the idea there is to control it with a budget cap, but start bidding higher. All right, so we covered that. Let's see. Generally, you can get away with more in image ads. So it's been my experience that some of the things that may be caught with an automated check with text ads, Google has trouble catching in image ads. So you may be able to get certain words through or certain things in image ads that you're not able to do in text ads. All right, just a little bit about the different image ad types. There's static image ads that can be GIF, JPEG, or PNG. These are really easy to stay under a 50 kilobyte limit, and a lot of ad servers have a lower limit than this. So you'll see 30 kilobyte limits, 40 kilobyte limits, and so it actually gets kind of difficult sometimes to create ads that are interesting but yet stay below the size requirement for the file size. So the static image ads are the easiest to do that with. They tend to not perform as well though. So typically the best performing ads are going to be some sort of animated GIF or a flash ad. And just back up just a second, one of the things you can do, and I've done this many times, is if you see an offer that has banners, and maybe the banners, maybe you're seeing them show up in the marketplace where the merchant has, or in the affiliate network, you can actually pull banners for that offer. Maybe they're sort of working okay, but maybe there's a better some better copy you could use or whatever. Well, you can ask for the Photoshop files for those banners, and depending on your relationship with the affiliate network or the affiliate manager, oftentimes they can get you those files. And then if you know a little bit of Photoshop, or even if you don't, you could sort of have the banners modified by hiring somebody to do it. And then you can start testing, basically starting from some creative that's already been pre-done for you. So that's one approach I've used in the past. With animated GIFs, it's difficult to stay under 50 kilobytes. You can very easily, depending on how you're creating the animated GIFs, but there's sort of an art to creating the files so that they don't go over this size limit, and they take more time to create. Anybody can make these, especially with some software. You can learn how to do it in Fireworks or I guess Photoshop as well, if you know either of those software applications. I typically don't make animated GIFs myself. I will edit some image files from time to time in Photoshop. I know kind of just enough Photoshop to be dangerous. I don't know the software very good, but I can usually go in and maybe edit something. But I have animated GIFs created for me, or I use software to do it. And I'm going to go over some of the software here in just a little bit that you may be able to use. Flash, again, can also be difficult to stay under the file size limit. These Flash banners, unless you have a ton of experience with Flash, it's not really something that you can kind of pick up fairly easily. You could learn how to make an animated GIF without too much trouble, but Flash takes quite a bit of expertise, and you need specialized software as well. So I haven't ever even attempted to do that, although I have bought a couple courses about learning Flash, but never really got through too much of it. This is one software. I'll go ahead and mention this now, Banner Maker Pro for Flash. You may want to check out. It'll allow you to create Flash banners. I think I've had problems with this in the past of them not making the file size on the banners wouldn't come in, where except for very simple banners I was having trouble getting the file size to come in under the limit. So they're they don't have a focus on advertising networks. It's almost like if you want to make banners to show on your own website or something, where you don't really care what the file size is as much. It seems kind of the focus of the software, at least the last time I looked at it. So that can be a little bit of a negative. This Rockstar Power Suite, which used to be known as Keyword Rockstar from John Schugert, this is some really cool software that allows you to create flash banners in an automated way and create multiple banner sizes all at once. There's some details here about how the flash works, and there's something called a click tag variable. You have to figure out how to properly support that variable. The different ad networks will require that basically in order to run the banner. So you'll get an error if you don't upload the flash file in the right format. So you have to make sure if somebody's creating them for you, or if you're using some software, that it supports the proper file structure. All right, so for image ad optimization, this is the approach that I take. I would optimize copy first with text ads. It's just so much faster. So I have a question here I'm going to address. Does the Rockstar software stay under the 50 kilobyte limit? It should. He's just released a new version of that, and I'm actually not as totally familiar with everything that the new version does. It may give you warnings. The last time I remember, it gives you warnings if some of the file sizes come in over the 50 kilobytes. So the unique thing about John software is that it will create, you kind of take one template and it will create all the different banner sizes. So maybe a 160 by 600, a 300 by 250, 336 by 280, all these different banner sizes from a template without you having to do all the work. And so some of those may come in under the size limit, and some of them may come in over in certain cases. And so in that case, the ones that come in under are still good to use. So I think he gives you warning on that. All right, so what I mean by optimizing copy first with text ads and then moving to banners is that one of the most important things on your banner is the copy. Okay, the thing that makes banners so powerful is that you have many different factors that you can optimize. So copy is actually really probably the most important thing that you have in the banner. People buy because of how they relate to the copy. They don't buy because of how they relate to a picture. It may sort of help them. It may help catch their attention, but it's really the copy that they're responding to. And so you can optimize copy first with text ads and just focus on the text, and then you don't have to. If you're going to launch a bunch of new banner ads, it can be difficult. If you use some software like the Rockstar Power Suite, it's easier, but typically it's hard to launch a bunch of new banner ads because you have to change all the text out, and it's just a big process. So it's easier to test the copy with text ads and then move that copy to banners and then start testing the elements of the banner to try to improve the click-through rate from there once you have kind of known good copy. So a few more things that if you're not used to doing banner ad advertising, or if you're new to advertising at all, this is not going to be immediately obvious, but generally image ads that don't have a highly polished design are going to do better. And that means that what Google wants to see is like really fancy, professionally done image ads. And in fact, what many ad networks want to see, even if you're buying directly from a site, they prefer that your banners look really professional and high quality and look like true like artwork or whatever. The fact is that sort of look is really not what converts well. So typically stuff that sort of looks a little bit I don't know, just looks less professional basically can convert extremely well. And so it's kind of a balance with trying to get those ads approved, whether it's on Google or whether it's even with a direct site buy, to where that they'll let you run the ad. So you just have to kind of test and kind of work with that balance there. Let's see. So a couple things. You can try images more closely related to text ads. I have a couple examples coming up where I'll show you. if you don't own the offer, I wouldn't place the URL in the ad because you'll get some people that are just going to type the URL in and you're going to miss your chance at the click. If you do own the offer, then I would just go ahead and put it in, or if you're sending them to a landing page that you own, I would just go ahead and put it in. You can try blue underlined text that kind of looks like a hyperlink. That tends to do well in terms of click-through rate. And then ads that have kind of a small image with text. I say news article style. I mean, like if you look at like the home page of a news site or something, there's usually a lot of little images with text next to them. And I'm going to show you some examples of that also. This is kind of a typical style for like a Facebook ad, or even Pulse 360 has some ad blocks that way. So, all right, let's see. This is super important, and what'll happen is if you've been running a campaign, the next item here, that if you've been running a campaign with text ads, and then all of a sudden you throw in a bunch of image ads, what is going to happen is even if you have that campaign optimized in terms of you've done a lot of placement optimization and you have your domains kind of figured out and you've done a lot of negative campaign domains so that the sites that aren't converting well are negative matched. When you throw in a bunch of image ads, if they weren't there before, what happens is you're going to get a completely different domain profile. And what I mean is all of a sudden your ads are going to be showing up on all sorts of sites that they were not showing up on just the day before. And the reason for that is just has to do with the image targeting, and some sites only allow images. And so all of a sudden you're going to be showing on sites that you weren't showing before. And this can have it can have a huge negative impact to your campaign because you essentially have to start optimizing all over again. So it can appear that the ads are terrible and performing really bad, when really it's kind of just that you need to optimize the campaign again for the image placements. And my only recommendation on this is just keep at it, and you're going to have to get in there and daily look through your placement reports and try to optimize on a daily basis. A couple of questions here. Are you not able to specify domains for image ads? No, you can. If you were to do that, if you were to run a placement campaign and run it with image ads, then you could control this sort of phenomenon that I'm talking about here. But I tend to not like to do those kind of campaigns. I tend to do keyword-based campaigns, and I just try to get as much traffic as possible, and then I optimize that traffic. So if you wanted to be a little more conservative, yeah, you could try to start out with certain placements. All right, let's see. So ad sizes, you just have to test and you'll get different results in different markets. Typically the 300 by 250 in my experience is the easiest ad size to have good results with, but it's possible to have good results with any ad size. And then if you have an animation limit, there's usually an animation limit. There's not always. On some ad networks and some direct site buys, you'll be able to get away with no limit on the animation, and you can basically just run a repeating loop animation for the ad, which is ideal because you want the animation to last as long as possible to give as much time as possible for the site visitor to come in contact with the animation, because if the ad shows up lower on the page, a lot of times they're not going to scroll down far enough to see the ad before the animation stops. So it's almost like you're showing them a static banner instead of the benefit of the animation at that point. So try to make sure the animation goes the full time limit. This is also something that's tricky. If you have somebody creating the ads, you have to make sure that they understand this. So that's just kind of a note on that. All right, here's some different resources, and I'll post this so you don't have to try to write it down right this second. But these are some different banner design softwares. I've bought all of these softwares and played around with them. They all have positives and negatives, and of course the Rockstar Power Suite, which I haven't listed here, is some really good software as well. These are kind of lower price products that don't do near as much as what John Software does. This one with an arrow next to it is so important. It's amazing how important the software is. There may be some other software that does just as good of a job, but I've tried several of these. What this is it's GIF compression software, and what that means is it'll take an animated GIF, it'll take any GIF and it'll compress it. But if you take an animated GIF, it'll really compress it a lot typically. So you can take a file that somebody, you may create a file that's 170 kilobytes or something when it's done, which is never going to run on any of the ad networks. And then when you run it through this software, it just takes a second and it'll spit out a banner that doesn't look any different at all. Really, it's pretty amazing. It doesn't seem to change the quality at all, and it may come in at 35 kilobytes or 40 kilobytes or something at that point. So this is I believe it's like shareware. I think it's $30 to buy, but there's a limited version that you can use that'll run on single banner ads that you don't even have to pay for. So you can download this and use it as long as you just only convert one ad at a time. So it's a little bit of a pain to use that way. The full version allows you to highlight a complete folder full of ads and run them all through this software all at once. iStock Photo, I just mentioned here, there's other stock photo sites, but if you're going to be doing creating your own banners, or even if you're going to have somebody creating banners for you, what I'll typically do is go through and I will purchase the photos on my own. I'll go out and I'll select photos. I'll have an idea of what I might want to show up in the ad, and I'll go out and I'll purchase all the photos, and then I'll send them to the guy that's going to create the banners and allow them to kind of use the photos. But that way, I'm picking what the images are, but then allowing them to assemble the ads together, maybe create animation with it or whatever. But bottom line is, you should buy your photos and just take the extra expense. I've known quite a few people that have had problems using photos that they've swiped from somewhere, and they end up getting sued because of it. So be really cautious about just taking photos from anywhere and using them. So that's my recommendation. This last link here is on some intro, is a info product on creating banner ads with Flash. So this is actually one of the products that I was mentioning before. I've purchased this product. It's really cool if you're into this sort of thing and you have an interest in creating your own banners, and maybe you know a little bit of Flash already, or even if you don't but you want to learn it, then this is a good resource. I honestly think that if you were to spend the time to get really good at creating Flash banners, you would have a huge competitive advantage in the marketplace, because you would be able to create banners on your own very quickly and do a lot of testing quickly without having to rely on somebody else. It can be a real time sink to have to send stuff to somebody, wait for them to return it. I think there's a huge advantage if somebody was interested in doing that. The problem is, it's not that easy to learn. So just in case somebody wants to take it up, that's a good resource there. All right, here's a couple examples, and I didn't really go too crazy on these examples because there's basically, you can go into AdBeat and you can look at what's working. I mean, if you're interested in what's working, you can just go in very quickly and see what sorts of banners are working and what images are working in a particular market. But these are a couple examples that show, some different techniques. This multiple ads in one kind of technique is used very effectively by some of the biggest media buyers that are operating online right now. And there's ways to do this with an HTML creative. So the actual creative is an HTML file, and so each of these links can go to a completely different URL, and so you're able to run like one of these sort of news sites that a lot of these guys use, and you can have different pages on that site all linked to differently from the same ad. So that I actually haven't done any of this myself. I've kind of set some stuff up to prepare to do it, but haven't actually launched anything yet. But this is highly effective. There's no question about it because it's used all over the place. And this is an example of some really specific targeting. So this isn't the type of advertising that I typically do, but this is a Beyonce banner targeted to a specific page about Beyonce on YouTube here. So this is like very specific placement targeting with banners. So anyway, just you can do that with banners as well as you can with text ads. And then a couple more examples. This ad up at the top uses Flash, and there's interactivity. And then, of course, the blue link, which is good for click-through rate. And then here's another example of a highly, text or mostly text ad with a blue link. So both of these banners were running for quite a while back. I put this slide together a while back, but these are techniques that are still good to use right now. And then the last thing I wanted to mention is that on Google, you can actually show multiple ads on the same page on the content network that run to the exact same site. And I've seen people do that in the past with image ads, and it creates a really powerful effect on the page. And so, the way to do this is to target this site and bid super high and have all these different ad sizes. But my guess is, I've never actually done this, but my guess is when you do this and you have all these ads kind of working together, the click-through rate probably just goes sky high. And so you get a ton of traffic out of doing this. I've never actually done it myself, but it's just kind of interesting to see it. All right, so that's all I have right now on the image ads. I'm going to go on to another topic. But I'll go ahead and stop and take some questions now. If anybody has questions about image ads, go ahead and ask. So nothing. I'm not seeing any questions come in or people typing. Question here. Michael is asking, are those image ads mostly direct link to an offer? Which the ads that I showed as an example, no, typically they're not direct linked. Typically they're going to a landing page. I've done a lot of direct linking with image ads. Yeah. How do bid prices on image ads compare to those of text ads? Like I mentioned earlier, you're going to have to bid higher initially to get the image ads to show. So initially, you're going to have to pay more to get the ads to even give any impressions at all. But if you do it right and you get a really high click-through rate ad, then the effective bid price that you need to keep the ad up once you establish a little bit of history is going to be lower than a text ad. So you can get some, you can get cheap traffic with image ads if you have a really high click-through rate ad. All right. So, do I have a referral for a landing page designer? No, I don't, Michael. That's not really where I spend most of my time. So, I don't have anybody that does landing pages for me. For a while, I'd hired a guy out of the Philippines that was working for me full time that was doing a lot of design work. But after 3 or 4 or 5 months, I think I ended up letting him go because I just didn't really have enough work to keep him busy. But you can just hire from Elance, from any of these outsourcing sites, and a little bit later I'm going to definitely cover more on how to hire people and my experience with that. But there's plenty of places you can get people to create landing pages. The best way to do it is to just show them a landing page like what you want and say, look, I want something like this. Give me something that looks like this, and then give them a copy and images or whatever. So that's my recommendation. You can also find pre-done packages. of people that are selling kind of landing page packages, and some of those may be, you know, better than others. Let's see. Is it hard to get direct linking approved? Where? On Google specifically? I mean, the answer on Google, it's always been sort of hard to get direct linking approved. So, you know, all the direct linking I've done, it wasn't because it was necessarily easy to find offers that you could direct link to. It's more that I would just take my time and have patience and find the right offers as they come along that Google seemed to like. So the problem with direct linking is that you have no control over the quality of the site. So most offers, in fact, a lot of CPA offers use a lot of images on the page, on the landing page, and they don't use any text on the page or very little text on the page. It's highly, you know, just a lot of image content on the page, and that's terrible for Google. They don't like it because they can't read the page and they can't basically kind of qualify that page based on the text, and so that tends to get a bad quality score. So you're just you're limited because you're basically at the whim of whatever the advertiser is. So one of the reasons I've had good success with ClickBank products on the Google Content Network before Google decided they didn't really like ClickBank products at all is because ClickBank products tend to have long form sales copy, or they tend to have a lot of content built around the site, even if now a lot of them are going to this video sales letter kind of style. But they tend to have a lot of content on the site, so it's a well built out site, which is very different than what you'll find with a lot of CPA offers. And one of the best CPA offers that I ever did, it was long form as well. So it was a CPA offer that was running on a typical CPA network, but it had a lot of content on the page, a ton of text-based content, and it worked very well because of that. Let's see, is my strategy to find the best banners with AdBeat and run similar banners on sites that are similar? Essentially, yeah. Whether it's banners or text ads or whatever, my strategy is to use that as a starting point. Okay, that's the way I would describe it. My strategy isn't to try to just completely copy what somebody is doing. Typically, I can do better than what somebody's doing. And any of you guys should be able to do better than what your average person advertising can do on the Google Content Network by the time you're done with all the training that I have to deliver, because there's just a lot that I think most people don't really think about and don't really understand. So my strategy is to take something that's working and use it as an entry point, and then try to improve it and do better. All right. I'm going to go ahead and move into, somebody asked me to do an example of creating ad groups from when I was showing some of the examples with how to use media planning tools. So I want to just pretend, if you guys haven't watched that last video, what we did was we did a little bit of work with Google Ad Planner, and I found that, well, we did some work in AdBeat first and found that some lottery sites were coming up high on the publisher list for a credit offer, and then expanded out that site list using Google's Ad Planner. And so if we wanted to create keywords based around that concept of kind of these lottery sites rather than just site targeting, I would come to the Google keyword tool and I would put in one of those sites. So USA Mega was one of those sites. And I'm just going to put that in here and ask Google for keywords based on that site. That's going to return 300 keywords, looks like, and I would download those 300 keywords, CSV for Excel, open that up. Hold on just a second. I'm going to take all of these columns and just get rid of them. I don't care about any of this stuff. I don't care about any of this data. There's a lot of people that will tell you that, you know, for content network targeting, you need to look at all these search data numbers and use some sort of formula for which keywords to include, but I don't do any of that stuff. I simply take the keywords, and I'm going to add a couple columns here. So I'm just doing a right-click insert, and the proper campaign structure to paste into AdWords Editor is campaign, and then ad group. And so if this campaign, we might call this lottery. I'm going to drag that down. So now I have the campaign name next to every keyword. And then basically I need a way to group these keywords into ad groups. And this is a trick that I used to use when I was doing a lot of this stuff in Excel. And that's basically look at how many, hold on just a second. Oops. Look at how many keywords you have in your full set. In this case, there was 300. And then decide how many keywords you want in each ad group. And let's say that 15 is a good number. Anywhere from 5 to 25 keywords is fine. But let's say we want to do 15 keywords for this set. And so what I'm going to do is take 300 and divide 15 into it. And if you do that, the answer is 20. And then what I'm going to do is just come here to the ad group column and type a 1 and a 2, highlight both of those, and then drag this down, and that'll increment a count to 20. And then I'm just going to copy and paste all the way down here. I'm going to do that until I get like 4 or 5 of them, and then I'm actually just going to go here and select this, whoops, select all of these. So now I have like 5 sets of these 1 through 20 numbered rows. I'll copy that and then just paste that on down. There's probably a much better way to do this, but this is the extent of my Excel skills. So there, now we have every keyword labeled with some number 1 through 20, right? And they're all basically labeled equally because we made sure that that's what 20 divided into 315 times. And now what I'm going to do, actually you don't even have to do this, you could just paste them just like they are, but if you want to see how they're going to be grouped, you can just highlight this column and do a sort from A to Z. Let's see, expand current selection. It actually doesn't matter what you choose here because all I'm trying to do is just get a series of numbers that's 1 and then 2 all the way down and 3 and so on. I think if I just hit expand selection, that'll work fine. Okay, so now this is in the proper structure to paste into AdWords Editor. And this is going to be one ad group right here. Okay, and this is going to be the next ad group right here, and so on. So this just created 15 ad groups. And this is actually how I do it. I actually label the ad groups with a number. I don't create, I never name my ad groups with a text, with any sort of text at all. I name them always with numbers, and I actually name my campaigns with numbers as well. Well, that's not totally true. I usually use a number, and then I use the name as well. So I would call this like, I might call this 1 space lottery. That's how I would probably actually name it. And the reason for that is it makes it easy to sort them later by number and find the right campaigns or find the right ad groups or whatever. And I'm also, a lot of times, not always, but I'll use these numbers in my tracking IDs if I'm going to use sub-ID tracking. And so that's why I use numbers for everything. And we'll get in, I'll explain maybe how I would do that a little more at some later point. So let's see, a question here. Do I pay attention to what keywords are in each ad group? No, I don't pay attention to what keywords are in each ad group. I don't care. In fact, usually I have no idea what the keywords are. I just set them up like this with a seed keyword. Remember, in this case, we use the seed site. Okay, we use the site was USA Mega. I would call that a seed site. So in other cases, I would use a seed keyword where In that case, instead of using the domain usamega.com, I might have just used the keyword lottery and asked the Google keyword tool what keywords are related to lottery. And in that case, the seed keyword is lottery. And what I always do is I name the campaign whatever the seed is. So actually, the truth is, if I was to do this campaign, what I would really call this is usamega.com. I think you can put a dot in the campaign name. That's what I would call it. And if I did this with the seed lottery, I would call the campaign, the next campaign, if I did it with the seed lottery, I would call it 2 lottery as my campaign name. In the ad groups, I always just get the exact same numbering scheme. I just number them however many ad groups there are. And I actually start from, this isn't exactly how I would do it. I actually start from 1,000. So the first ad group would be 1,000. Or 1,001. The next one would be 1,002. And the reason for that is that it makes sorting easy as well, because when you start getting numbers like 10 and 15, the one, when you're doing things in Excel, it screws up the way that things sort. So I always start with 1,000. Isn't it better to have one keyword per ad group? Thus non-performing keywords don't drag down your quality score? No, I haven't found that to be the case at all. I haven't had good results at all using one keyword per ad group on the content network. That's a technique that people claim is, what you need to do for search. I've never found that to be the case for the content network. It gives poor results because Google is looking to match a theme to your keyword, and one keyword just doesn't really work with their algorithm as well as multiple keywords do. So there we go. Michael's asking about a case study that shows everything. I may do that, Michael. I don't know. I'm definitely doing sort of partial case studies along the way with components. And it looks like there's somebody that's in the forum now that has posted what's the kind of the beginnings of a case study there. So I may end up doing a lot of videos based around his data. Which is really the same thing. Depending on how far that goes, we'll see. But so far, it looks pretty good. Question is this the same as I would do for Ad Center? No, it's not the same as I would do for Ad Center. Ad Center, like I said before, I've had good results with single keyword ad groups. Other people have told me different things. So Ad Centers has some really weird tools, and it's not near as easy to use in terms of getting your campaign uploaded. So I've used their CSV upload before. The file is in a really strange format, and it's not as easy to work with, but you can figure it out if you ask questions and contact their support. They also have a desktop uploader tool that sort of works, but has basically been in beta for 3 years now, and I don't really know what the current state of that tool is, but it's kind of been buggy in the past when I've tried it. So, all right, any other questions? And so just to be clear, this is like, this is easy enough to get started with this system right here by hand. You can easily start spending money and start testing offers using this. It doesn't take that long. You want to, maybe start with 100 ad groups or so for an offer. You can start with 40 ad groups, 30 ad groups, whatever. But definitely start with, a couple dozen ad groups at the least if you're on Google. Closer to 100 is better. But even 100, I mean, you could do this. We just created 20 ad groups in just a couple minutes. So in 15 minutes, you could probably create 100 ad groups if you wanted to, or you could actually chop these up a little more and get more ad groups out of it. So this is enough to get started. You don't need any complex software to get started. How would I do single keyword ad groups in Ad Center by hand? I would probably use their CSV upload tool. I haven't done that in a while though, so you just check it out, try it. Post in the forum where you're running into problems. That's my advice. If you guys are not good with Excel, or at least sort of, I wouldn't say that I'm good with Excel. I have no idea how to do all the, I mean, there's so many things that Excel can do that I have no idea how to do it, but I'm good enough to do the stuff that I need to for internet marketing. So you can learn that without too much difficulty. I mean, it may take a few hours, or it may take a few days to really get comfortable with it, but you know, you can learn Excel and get pretty quick with it, and I highly recommend you do that. It's super, it's a very difficult road to go down to try to do internet marketing without understanding a little bit of Excel. Question here about Google content seeming to take weeks to validate ads. Is this usual? Image ads or text ads, Phoenix? Image, yeah, image ads can take a long time. If you up your bid, you'll have a better chance of getting those. Up your bid to $5 and put a $10 cap on the campaign, but up your bid to $5 and see what happens. Sometimes that'll bump you up and get you through the approval process. Daryl is saying, FYI, Google has a new tool in beta that helps group keywords into ad groups they feel are relevant. That's cool. It's amazing to me that they haven't had this in the past. I have created some software that groups keywords and does some different fancy stuff. You know, so I don't know why Google hasn't had that in the past. There's also the Google Wonder Wheel. And you can go and try to take Wonder Wheel groups and use those as keywords. There's some people out there that have developed Wonder Wheel scraper tools that'll go and you know, scrape the keywords from the Wonder Wheel structure, and then you can assemble those into keywords. You would think that that would give you really good results because Google is basically telling you that's a theme around a central keyword. If you haven't used the Google Wonder Wheel, just do a search for Google Wonder Wheel and you'll see what it is. Learn what it is. But you know, you would think that those would perform very well on the Google Content Network, but in my experience, I've done, you know, I won't say I couldn't do more testing, but I've done some testing to the point where basically I started to lose interest because I wasn't seeing any good results. By creating a bunch of Wonder Wheel groups and then creating similar groups with seed keywords, just using this random ad group structure, just throwing in a bunch of keywords any which way into ad groups. And I didn't get any better results with the Wonder Wheel stuff, and in fact I seem like I get better results by just using these randomly created groups. So who knows why that is exactly. The name of the game basically with creating ad groups for Google is just create a lot of them. I mean, it's not but 1 or 2% of the ad groups that I ever create that that do well. I mean, most of them don't get any traffic at all, and after between 24 to 48 hours, I just go in and I delete all of them. So it's only just a few that sort of, it's just a matter of sort of hitting their algorithm correctly. I mean, everything that they do is dependent on an algorithm. So if you kind of throw enough random stuff at it, eventually just by chance you're going to hit on something that their algorithm thinks is, for whatever reason, the best way to organize the ad group, right? And it's going to show your ad in a lot of places. So that's the approach that I take. Todd is asking, what causes me to stop promoting a product like the ad product that I've had success with in the past? Right now on Google, it's problematic to promote ClickBank products like Truth About Ads or something. So you know, it's possible to still promote those products elsewhere, and if you look in AdBeat, you will see people doing that. However, on Google right now, it's difficult to promote ClickBank products as an affiliate that way. So that's why I'm not doing that currently on Google. However, there's all sorts of other diet products that are running on Google that are not very different than a ClickBank product, and so, you know, if you can figure out a way to hide the fact that it's an affiliate offer, or if you own a product yourself or whatever, it's not impossible to run a diet product on Google. Let's see. Do I test much with Pulse 360 or mostly Google? I've used Pulse 360 in the past, but it's not really my expertise. Guys, I'm like really hesitant to just tell you, you know, these are the ad networks that I'm using now, or this is exactly what I'm using, because it just doesn't make sense. There's people having success with all sorts of different ad networks. You need to take a look at what is running and what has stayed running for a while. And just because I'm not using Pulse 360 doesn't mean that there's not a dozen people out there making $5,000 a day with Pulse 360. You know, same for other ad networks. Let's see here. When I have a working ad group, do I then take the keywords within that ad group and try to come up with new ad groups that might perform better? Absolutely. That is sort of, you know, a core part of, I would say a core part of the strategy of how I would expand out a campaign. I would look at the ad groups that are working well. I would probably just take every single keyword in that ad group and then use each of the individual keywords as a new seed, and do this same process over again and create a bunch of new ad groups spawned out of that one ad group that was doing well. And I would also look at why that ad group was doing well, on which sites it was showing up on, and I would look at those sites and get new keyword ideas from those sites that may not have been represented in the original ad group at all, to try to target more sites that were you know, similar to the performance of the sites that ad group was showing on. So what are techniques to hide yourself as an affiliate? I mean, there's different, if you know somebody with an offer, you know, that may be a private offer or something, you can set it up somehow that it's not clear that it's an affiliate because you're not running through a typical tracking domain. So I mean, that would be one way. You can, you know, send traffic to an email opt-in page that a lot of people are doing on Google content right now, and then affiliate marketing on the back end. So I mean, those are kind of the biggest ways you would hide yourself as an affiliate. And there's other more sneaky ways. There's people doing cloaking, different types of IP cloaking or other sorts of cloaking that tries to kind of trick Google into not being able to see the actual page that you're showing to visitors. But that's not something that I know how to do or have ever even done, actually. But there's certainly people doing that as well. All right. Anything else? We're coming up on an hour here, so maybe if there's a couple more questions, I'll answer them. So as part of the problem with the content network, simply getting Google to see the relevance of your keywords and match them to available sites, is that why some ad groups don't work? Yes, definitely part of the problem with the content network in terms of what what people don't get about it or why they can't get a lot of traffic out of it is they don't understand how to sort of play with Google's algorithm and just give it what it wants. You can't just choose, 20 or 30 ad groups that you think seem like a really good fit for your offer and expect Google to just pour the traffic on to your offer just because the ad groups look to be targeted properly to you. So part of the problem with Google's content network is that a lot of people just don't understand how to get a lot of traffic out of it. Then, of course, all the other problems about, well, does Google even like the offer to begin with, or do they have problems with affiliates or whatever? That's kind of a whole separate thing. I mean, even if, for the most, I mean, let me put it to you this way. Back when, ClickBank products were fine with Google and there was all sorts of diet ClickBank products on the market, I mean, how many people do you think were doing numbers, like what I was doing? Just a handful, like 3 people, basically. So at that point, there was no problem with the offer at all. It was a lack of understanding on the general, in the general affiliate market that nobody understood how to do it, basically. So there's 2 separate problems. How do you actually construct things properly to get your ads out there, and then does Google like the offer or the site or whatever to begin with? Seems like it takes a lot of time to get image ads approved. How have I got my ads approved quickly? I mean, sometimes it takes it's taken me a lot of time to get image ads approved as well. Like I said before, up your bid to $5 and put a cap on your budget. That's the only trick that I know, and it seemed to work in the past. So you up your bids until the ads get approved, and then you just lower them immediately after that. Let's see. So when you ask to place ads on specific sites, Google will do that if they like the ad, or do they not also show those ads if they don't see the relevance? Yeah, I mean, William, in general, when you ask Google to place an ad on a specific site, they're going to charge you more for it. And the way I look at this is that Google, really thinks highly of their algorithm or their algorithmic approach to their whole network. And if you try to basically bypass their algorithm and try to tell Google that the way that their algorithm says is the best way to do it isn't the way you want to do it, they're going to charge you more for it. So if you can get the ads to show, they're in my experience, they're going to cost more. Patrick, I don't see your question. I don't know. Oh, wait a second. Here it is. When bidding on image ads, am I seeing the same info cost displayed for cost per click text keywords, or is there a different pricing for image ads? I don't understand that question. So you can try to clarify real quickly here if you want, but I don't really get what you're asking. Or you can just ask in the forum and I'll try to answer it there. All right, I'm not seeing anything else, so here we go. One more. Is the cost the same for keywords or image and text ads? I still don't really understand the question. I mean, like I said, your cost is based on the performance of Google's inventory. If you can create an image ad that gets a click-through rate of 2%, then they're not going to charge you that much per click because you're getting so many clicks that you're able to monetize their inventory really well for them, even at a lower cost per click, and so they're going to reward you for that. So the cost is based on what the performance of your ad is. the keywords that are behind the ad group sort of have an effect as well, but that's kind of, you know, they're two separate things. Let's see here. Can maybe talk, so a couple questions, when will bidding be covered? I don't know, we'll talk about bidding at some point later. Bidding isn't really that complicated. I mean, there's not a whole lot to really talk about. You bid higher if you want more traffic. You know, you bid lower if your cost of conversion is coming in too high. If your traffic goes away, then you know it may not be a good set of keywords for that market. Anyway, we can talk about it a little more later, but it's really not that complicated. Phoenix, I can do some trend reading. I don't know, at some point. You could always just post some examples in the forum and ask for my input on that. All right, I'm going to go ahead and wrap up because we're at an hour. So if you have more questions, you can post them on the training blog next to this this webinar. All right, thank you everybody for attending. Talk to you soon.